Hey, bro, it's Bucs game day. Let's fucking get it.
Ahoy, Buccaneer and Scallywags. We are live on the Buccaneer pregame show. Let's get it.
All hands, hoist the colors high. Heave ho, thieves and beggars, never shall we die.
Welcome aboard the Black Pearl. I got a job to do.
What's up, my man?
So, hey, everybody. Welcome into the show. Today, we're actually going to be previewing the final preseason game between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the in-state rival Miami Dolphins. Today, we'll be finally getting to see the majority of the starting lineup, which is pretty fun for, especially it being a home game. The fans are actually going to get to see Bucs ball tonight. That's going to be cool. We're going to have actually some of the starters in. Just here a little while ago, Todd Bowles reached out to the media and said Mike Evans and Levante David would not be making the field tonight. So that's an interesting key point. He said it wasn't injury related. It's just just like a vet day off. What's tonight? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the field. How long will they play? We're not sure. Maybe a couple of drives, maybe a quarter. I think earlier in the week, Todd Bowles stated that he would kind of go, off of how the feel was of everything. So you can see these guys play a couple of drives, and then you can see them play a whole quarter. On the offensive side of the ball, I particularly would like to see how smooth the starting offense actually comes on the field. I'd like to see the starters actually come on and put some plays together, make drives, and actually put some points on the board, whether it's field goals, whether it's touchdowns in the pass, whether it's rush touchdowns, it doesn't matter. And that's something that I'm looking for, as well as, you've got that depth that's going to come in and fight. One of the key factors for me, again, is offensive line. Not only for the depth, but you've got a guy like Elijah Klein, who 2 weeks in a row has played really well. Even in the loss last week where we really didn't look like we played well at all, Elijah Klein specifically was one of the guys that shined. And that was really cool to see. So I'm also looking for that. Plus, I'm looking for depth on the defense. But getting to the defensive side of the ball, what I'm looking for, again, it just like it was the first 2 weeks, is what can we produce in the pass rush. I want to see those front four guys actually make pressure. We've gotten plenty of pressure, albeit linebackers. We've shown we've gotten some pressure in last week's game. The first week, we really didn't have much going on. We showed a little pressure. We hurried the quarterback. We didn't actually get a sack in that first game. But what I'm also looking for is the secondary and how they're going to, really hold up, even with the word is maybe Tyreek's not going to start. And so if Tyreek doesn't start, you still got an array of talent on that offense that can really light you up. Tua Tagovailoa is a decent quarterback. Devon Achane, he is a gangster with, rubber ankles. With the ball in his hand, he can juke you. He's really shifty. He's really quick. So he's going to be tough to see against tonight. And I'd like to see those defensive linebackers really get at that. But if we apply pressure with the front four, that's where the linebackers have the ability on those run plays to actually get in those lanes and stop the rush. So that's going to be cool. The Buccaneers are actually going to be going down after this game. I think Tuesday's the final day, from a 90-man roster to a 53-man roster. And what we're going to see tonight, once the starters come out, you're going to see those rookies and those depth players really busting their tails out there. I promise you. These guys, some of these guys have never played it down in the NFL. They're rookies. They're undrafted. They came in just to be a camp body. Hey, you want to try out? We like what we see. So you never know. Well, some of these guys are in those positions, and they've worked 10 years to get there. This is their dream. So you're going to see heart and soul from both sides of the ball. It's not just the Buccaneers I'm talking about. This is a football thing. There's going to be 32 teams this weekend that have plenty of men that are going to be playing just in these very same situations. And what you're going to be looking for are the ones that are standing out above the rest. Those are the guys that are going to get those 1, 2 to maybe 5 or 6 if you're lucky, as far as positions left on the depth chart. And speaking of the depth chart, tomorrow night, instead of doing a post-game show tonight, we'll do a post-game wrap-up tomorrow. And you can also catch a post-game on the episode of Pancakes and Power Bombs immediately after SmackDown tonight. But we're going to do the follow-up on the post-game tomorrow. And we're also going to be making our 53-man roster predictions. We're going to be making divisional champions, conference champions, and then Super Bowl champions, as well as league MVP, offensive and defensive rookie of the years, and things like that. So be on the lookout for that. I think the start time is going to be around 7 p.m. Eastern time. But you can follow me at the Plunder EST23. For more information, make sure you hit that notification bar, update it to all, and you'll never miss out on anything. So, now that we've got that little bit of information out of the way, is he ready? Is he there?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay. Well, what are you looking for in tonight's game?
Looking forward to the depths. I was talking to you about it behind, off camera. I also had mentioned it beginning of preseason. The only thing I'm looking for out of this preseason is, one, what are we getting out of Liam Cohen with play calling? I know this is probably nowhere near the playbook we're getting, or the play calls we're getting in the regular season, but it gives us a glimpse.
Right.
So far, we're 1-1. Right. I guess I kind of expected. I don't even know if I expected us to be 1-1. I think I more expected like an 0-2 preseason right now. Just really trying to figure out this offense. And then this would have been kind of that turning point to lead us into the season on a higher note. I do predict us to win. Historically and statistically, this game's always been kind of close in the preseason.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the 13-10 final with the Bucs winning. What I'm looking for, though, overall, Chris Braswell. I want that man getting more reps because we're gonna need him in the rotation, and I just want to see what he really is getting. On top of that, I want Graham Barton to keep getting a little more reps. This offense is going to be on his back, literally outside of Baker Mayfield's.
Absolutely.
He's doing good so far. I want to see him continue. You were talking to me about Devin Culp. I want to see more from him because if he's going to be on the team, I want to see what abilities that he has that make him an asset.
Right.
Because otherwise, he's just another tight end sitting on the bench, doing nothing.
Well, you're right in that. But, I honestly, like, Devin Culp, for me, he's made great catches. He's made outstanding blocks in the run game. That's the key right there. There.
But I just want to see
tight end. If you're a tight end, your number one job catch the ball. Number two is to block. Whether it be, you're blocking on a pass formation or you're blocking in the run game. And to have a guy that there's very few of them that are really good at both. And those are the ones that are really getting paid. But, that's something that I've noticed about him in the preseason.
Yeah. And I want to, like I said, I want to see more from him.
Absolutely. Dude, I'm no argument there.
And I'm all for it. Like, if we keep him, if we both predict that Devin Culp is on this 53-man roster, obviously he's there in that spot. So far, if I would have to give you my roster, I would put him on there. But I would also say that I would put him on there in kind of a reluctant way, because it's one of those, like, this could really backfire. And, I guess I'm all right with that. But, again, the one I really want to see is Graham Barton. Another one, Jalen McMillan. We talked about him in the offseason. And I see it coming to fruition. So I want to see more from McMillan, and I'm excited.
Jalen McMillan, I predicted him to be the number 3 wide receiver starting the regular season. And when I said that was definitely something that I was so amped about, because, first off, look, the guy had a great season, in my opinion, as a rookie that didn't have a lot of expectations, Trey Palmer.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect him, but what he's shown in camp has really impressed me. And I'm excited. As probably my favorite position player that I'm excited to see tonight, because I really want to see him as far as that goes. So, but everybody, I appreciate you checking out the pregame show. But what we got going on now is a whole different kind of cool fun. I've been doing this for a little over a year, and this is a proud moment of mine. Now that I've got that out of the way, I want to get everybody to thank and welcome our next guest. He was a Tampa Bay Buccaneer for a long time, Mr. DeMar Dotson. Welcome on, Mr. DeMar.
What's up, man?
What's going on, my man?
I'm joining y'all guys while I'm at the beach, man. A little family time at the beach. So
look, multitasking. Look, thank you so much, sir. We appreciate you taking time away from your family first and foremost. Family's first before everything, and we appreciate that.
Always. Yes, sir. I appreciate you guys having me.
Absolutely. Well, having you on is a really cool moment. I've spoke with you a few times and told you that, I was really excited when you responded and agreed to the interview. And it was cool because I watched you years and years and years actually, play on the field. And you were one of those quiet guys. You did your talking on the field. And when you talked, we spoke the other day, and I said, man, I have a problem finding more highlight reels of you than I do of you actually, critiquing yourself for a bad game.
Offensive lineman, man, we don't have no highlights, man. That's all for the running backs and the receivers and the quarterbacks and stuff like that, the DBs. We don't got no highlights, man.
Look, unsung heroes. And just in that honor, I have an offensive lineman's jersey on just to honor the actual ideology of the big man.
That's the man right there, man. That is the man right there. Tristan Wirfs, that is the guy.
Look, I bet Tristan has earned every penny of that statement right there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. Every penny of it.
Well, I got a couple of questions that we discussed, and I'd like to go over them. First off, what I want you to do is potentially tell some of the people that may not know out there in Buc Nation a little bit about your journey through your college career and into the professional careers and being a retired vet from the NFL.
Well, man, I started off as a basketball player. That was my lifetime dream right there. I thought I had aspirations going to the NBA. and quickly realized, that wasn't going to happen. So when I went to college on a basketball scholarship, played 4 years of basketball, man, got to my 5th year, and one of the strength coaches came up to me and plugged in my ear that I should go out and play football. Now, here I'm already about 22 years old, my 4th year in college, never played football before, never had no aspiration of football, never put on a helmet or anything. So when he first told it to me, man, it went out of one ear to the other. So I remember we was in our last game playing Memphis, and we was losing. I was sitting on the bench, and I was like, man, what I'm going to do next? I don't know what I'm going to do next. Like, college about to end. I know I ain't going to the NBA. Like, I don't know what next. So, it just put in my ear, like, let's go out there and just give it a shot. I didn't have nothing to lose. So I went in there to the next day, went and talked to Larry Fedor. He was our head football coach at the time. And I sit in his office, I told him, I said, hey, Larry, I want to play football. And he looked at me and said, when was the last time you ever played? I told him straight up, I said, I've never played before in my life. And he almost looked at me, I was crazy. He was like, what you want me to do? And me and him, we still had that conversation today. I talk to Larry all the time. And he still said, man, that blows my mind. When you came and sit on my couch that day and told me you wanted to play football. So he gave me opportunity, man. I'm grateful for this day that he gave me opportunity. I went out there, they put me at defensive line. I played in about 3 or 4 games, didn't do much. But there was one scout that came and gave me opportunity, man. That was a guy named by the name of Don Green. He was a scout for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the time. And he looked at me and said, God, man, you look like an offensive tackle. So he went back to Tampa, man. He said, hey, I got 6'9" basketball player, raw, he never played before. Hey, man, we need to bring him in here on the trial. And that's what he did. I came to rookie minicamp in 2009 on a trial basis. I had no cleats. I went out there for 3 days in basketball shoes, and hey, I made the team. And that was the beginning of my journey right there.
Wow, that's pretty cool, man. When you actually
let me tell you this. Most people don't know. When I went down, I didn't bring no cleats to the trials. I don't know what I was thinking. So I went into the equipment room and I said, hey, I need a pair of cleats. They asked me what size do I wear. I told them I wear 18. Man, they cussed me out so bad. Name in the book, man. Like, what the hell you think you doing here? You a trial guy. You don't bring no cleats? He said, we don't have no 18s. So he gave me a size 16 shoe. I wear 18. He gave me a 16 shoe.
So you made the team in a 16 in a shoe size two sizes smaller. Holy, look, that in itself is a feat of its own, man. That's cool, DeMar.
Well, let me tell you, I went out there and I put those 16s on, and they was killing my feet, man. I had blisters, my feet were bleeding and everything. So what I did, I went and cut the toes out. I cut the whole toes out. And then, back then we were doing 2 a days. We were doing 2 a days. So in the afternoon practice, I cut the toes out and went out there. Now my toes are sticking out. They stepping on my toes. They blistered. They bleed. And I said, hey, man, I'm just going to go put my basketball shoes back on. So I finished practice, I finished in basketball shoes. So
how was that year in college? Transitioning from we've seen a lot of them. Look, one of the greatest tight ends in the history of the NFL was a phenomenal basketball player before he was a Hall of Fame football player in Antonio Gates. So tell us a little bit about that transition in that first year.
So when I went out there, I was raw. So they try to find a position that I can pick up kind of fast. They thought about putting him in offensive lineman, but they said, it's going to take the guy too long because I only had really a half a season. I just had for that, August to December. So they were trying to find somewhere quick for me to go, for me to play it. So they knew that offensive tackle was going to be a little hard position for me to pick up in that one season. They tried me at tight end, and they realized quickly that I couldn't catch. So they said, hey, so they found the best position to put me in. That was a defensive lineman. They said, hey, man, go straight or go right or left. So that was kind of the easiest position that they put me in. And I didn't play much, man. I tell people, man, I had 2 tackles. Oh, I don't want to get hit by one of these birds. But I tell people, man, I had 2 tackles, man, my whole senior year playing football. And one of the times, man, the guy ran into me.
Wow. That's a cool thing. And obviously hearing about, your story about college and the transition, I can almost tell you who your favorite college coach would be. But who was your favorite coach to play for and why in the NFL?
Man, that's a tough one because I always put it almost in between two guys, man. Raheem Morris was my first coach. So I always, I got a great value for Raheem because he's the guy that gave me my opportunity. I remember, in rookie minicamp, Raheem looked at me and said, "Why the guy got basketball shoes on?" And he, everybody said, "Man, this is the kind of guy we need on our team right here." So I know I'm always endowed to, Raheem because he gave me the opportunity. But I always tell people, man, Greg Schiano, reason why I love Greg Schiano, because that guy gave me my opportunity to start. So it's a toss-up between them two, man. A guy who gave me the opportunity to be in the NFL and be on this team, and a guy who gave me my first opportunity to be a starting right tackle in the NFL. So, it's always a toss-up between those two guys there. But every coach I always had, man, I played for, from Lovie Smith, from Dirk Carter, to even Bruce Arians, man. I got much respect for every one of those guys.
Man, that's awesome. Now, listen, one of the cool things that we've seen over the last few years in Buck Nation has been a culture change. So tell us a little bit about the differences that you see when you were, because, like back when we talked earlier before the show, and I told you, like the talent on those teams that you were on year in and year out was high and above, but things just didn't click. And a lot of, in my opinion, I believe culture had a lot to do with that. Now, tell us a little bit about the differences that you see that are impacting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a positive nature today.
Well, when Bruce came in, I knew this team was gonna start winning right there because Bruce brought that winning mentality. Bruce ain't no loser, man. Everywhere that Bruce done been, he done won. And I knew when he came, he was gonna change that whole culture because he's the type of guy, he's not gonna accept losing. Like, he's going to do everything within the organization to make sure the organization put the pieces around him to be successful. And I just hate that he came, when I was in my year 11 and stuff, and at the end of my career, when I couldn't experience that, success that he was going to bring. But I knew when they went out and got Tom Brady, man, and when it got Gronk and all those guys like that, man, I knew they was going to win a Super Bowl that year because they had all the pieces that, they needed to go and win. And people ask me all the time, say, "Man, you was there 11 straight years, and then they want to go out and get all these pieces, man, and go win the Super Bowl." I say, "How you feel?" Now I said, "I ain't gonna lie, man. I was kind of pissed off at first, man." But what I'm saying, I couldn't have got over it, man. I had to realize, man, it just wasn't my timing. But I still, man, I know all those guys. I knew most of those guys, and I was happy for those guys. And did I want a ring? Hell yeah, I wanted a ring. But I guess it wasn't my time, man. It wasn't for me. But all those guys that were like,
I've told Derek that when he told me about you were coming on, you were one of the players that I specifically stated that I felt we should have kept and gone and got that ring in 2020. I understood why you and the Bucs parted ways, but I still wish we could have kept you and a few others to enjoy that success with the team. Will Goldston got the opportunity. Yeah. Levante, put in the work, got the opportunity. I wish you could have gotten that opportunity with us.
Oh, I second that.
I wish too, but hey, man, I'm grateful for the opportunity that God gave me though. 12 years.
Absolutely.
Hey, man, from a guy who never played 1 year college football, never played football before, to be a 12-year NFL player, an 8-9 year starter. Man, I'm grateful, man. I'm grateful for what God gave me.
Well, let's keep the focus on that timeline because my next question is kind of interesting because let me preface this by saying this. I'm a Noel fan. By the way, Ireland tomorrow, Florida State, Georgia Tech. Let's go. Seamus is actually going to be the guest speaker on College Football Live.
That's my guy right there, man. That's my guy.
Hey, I was gonna say, let me ask this one real quick.
Go ahead.
So I was at this game tomorrow, and I'm referencing the season finale against the Falcons in 2019 season.
Okay.
When that pass left Jameis's hand, what went through your mind?
Hold on, say it again. Which pass you talking about?
The interception in overtime that led to the Falcons score.
against the last game of the year of the season?
Yes, sir.
Man, I don't even know if I can even remember it. I don't even know if I can remember that.
I was gonna say that would have been the game that he was famous for the I'm balling and check my stat sheet.
Okay. Hey.
Now,
which I'll agree with him, bro. He did all.
I want to say this. I preface this because I'm a Florida State fan. I am still a Jameis Winston fan. I'm also a guy about accountability, and we've spoke about this off screen, and I'll say it on screen. The guy has to be accountable for the mistakes he made and the choices to maybe not fix certain things that could have helped him be a better ball player. But I also said, and I said this to you, and I've said this to BucDad, I've said it on the Plunder before, the organization didn't have it together when they had that guy, and if he'd had the right pieces, you and I both agreed, DeMar, that if Bruce Arians would have had 3 to 5 years with Jameis, we wouldn't have had Tom Brady to win us a Super Bowl, and we very well could have won that Super Bowl with Jameis Winston.
I believe.
Yeah, let me say this about Jameis, man. You know, Jameis a winner. You got to realize Jameis came from Florida State, and he didn't do nothing but win. So that's the mentality that Jameis got. A lot of times he try to do too much because he wanted to win so bad. And sometimes it got him in trouble, but it was just the heart that guy had, man. He was a great locker room guy, and I love Jameis to life, man. I love that guy so much. But, you know, every time he stepped on that field, that guy had a heart to go out there and fight for his teammates and put it on the line and do everything he could to win. You know, so it's big up to Jameis.
Yeah, absolutely. Big up to Jameis. Look, the next question I got is kind of interesting because I'm curious about this. Who was the biggest – now, pardon me – who was the biggest jerk or asshole in the locker room, and who was the biggest prankster in the locker room when you were playing in Tampa?
Oh, man, who was the biggest jerk? I don't know if I really want to call somebody a jerk, man.
Those are my words.
That's kind of a tough word, man.
Well,
some guys can be hard asses in those locker rooms. And
who was the most serious about everything?
Who was the most serious?
Yeah.
Who was really serious? Who you couldn't joke with?
If I had to say somebody was the most serious, man, I would have to say on the Donnegan, Sue. When Sue came, you know, Sue was just that serious type mentality guy, man. You know, you didn't see him smile much, man. But once you get to talking to him, you realize he's a good guy at heart. But, man, he's a no-nonsense guy, man. He's just, like, straightforward all the time. You know, sometimes you try to mess with him and get him a smile, man. You know, as long as you don't man, you good. So,
absolutely.
You know, one of those guys that I say always serious. One of the pranksters guy that I enjoyed to be around the guy. I don't know if you knew the guy by Bobby Raiden. He used to be a running back. He came in for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, that's one of the guys that I always had a good time with. You know, he always had a smile on his face. You know, he's always laughing, you know, trying to be the bright light in the locker room. So, Bobby was one of those guys that, you know, I always looked at as a guy that, you know, a prankster and just try to make people laugh. And, you know, you always see a smile on his face. So that's the guy that I would put as a prankster.
All right. Well, now let's see if you'll really give us some meat and potatoes right here, because I'd like to see if you'd inform us on maybe a funny or embarrassing moment that maybe not many people in Buc Nation know about you that happened in or around the organization.
Well, funny as embarrassing. One, I could probably say, you guys might not know this, and I hope I can say this on this show, man. Without
you're at your own freedom.
I think this was like 2011. You know how the media guys come into the locker room after the game. You know, we had a game. They come into the locker room. So right. I was coming out the shower. And you know how we guys, man. You know, we in the locker room. We come out naked. It is what we do. We don't know that the media in and and stuff like that.
Right.
So I guess the cameras was interviewing another player. I can't remember who that player was. So I guess as I'm coming out the locker room naked, you know, they doing a live shot, and on live TV, man, they can see just a little swip of my man who will come across the camera. know, everybody in the locker room knew who that was, man. So
That is
Look,
epic.
I really appreciate that one. That one's brought that look. I don't know if I don't even want to ask another question because I don't think we can top that response. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
So, what we're going to ask you next is I want to kind of test your humility a little bit because I valued you as a player. I mentioned that to you before. We've actually been friends on Facebook for quite a few years, going back to my personal page. And that's because I really I was a fan of yours. And where today would you rank yourself amongst the 32 starting right tackles in the league?
The 32.
You placed yourself in there. If you were a GM, where would you place yourself?
Well, I'm glad they done put Tristan to the left, so you know what I'm saying. I'm good.
Your spot opened back up.
Yeah. And speaking of Tristan, man, I met that guy a couple of times. As bad as I wanted to win a Super Bowl, man, to be replaced, by a guy that caliber, I actually feel good about myself.
Absolutely. We were look. I mean, I actually told you this: the Buccaneers to have you when they trusted you for that starting job, and you went in and you stayed in. It might have been a couple of injuries and whatnot, but that was the only reason you came out of the game. But to have you for the length of time that we did, to have that dependability, and then to get what we've gotten for the last few years and a few more years, and almost $70 million later? What was it?
180.
Are you talking about Tristan?
Tristan's, yeah. What was his contract? I can't remember off the top of my head.
Well, whatever it was
worth every penny. It was worth every penny, and he's the highest paid. We call him a hybrid tackle.
A hybrid tackle?
A hybrid tackle. He's one of those guys that you can transition and can dominate, but there's, single-digit percentage of players in the history of the game that can do that.
Oh, yeah, man. He went over the left and didn't skip a beat. Look, he got better.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to keep you too long because I know, again, you're out there with your family. So before we head out of here, tell us a little bit about DeMar Dotson after football.
So so this is going to my 4th year of retirement. Man. How a lot of guys when they go through retirement, man, it's that hard to find that niche after life after football. Trying to find out what you're gonna do, what's gonna bring you that excitement. That Sunday did, that going and running out the tunnel did. It took me a little while to find it. I tried the restaurant business. That didn't really work out too well for me. But, the last year and a half, what I did, I got into the financial industry. I'm doing financials, I'm doing, life insurance. And the reason why I got into it, I went and got all my license. It took me about a year or so to get all my license. The reason why I got into it, because I want to educate, my people on how to save money, how to, invest for retirement and stuff like that. Because a lot of things that I started learning about, investing in money and stuff, I didn't even know it while I was playing. I had a financial advisor, and a lot of things that I learned, I didn't even learn myself. No one even taught it to me. So, the reason I got into it because I want to go help people, save money, educate people on how money works, and help people, save for the retirement. Because you go back into my communities where I'm from, a lot of people, they work their whole life and they get to 60, 65 years old when it's time to retire, and they don't have much money to live off for. They got to go back to work. So I want to teach people that, you can start putting a little money away right now, show them how it works, teach them how it works, that now when you get to 60, 65 years old, when you're ready to sit back down, you got some money to live off of. When you get to that age, man, you want to be able to work because you want to, not because you have to. So that's what
Absolutely.
Last year and a half.
Look, that's awesome, man. Look, I cannot thank you enough. I don't know if BucDad, you got anything else for Mr. Dotson?
No, man. This is the 2 questions I had. We got to get answered, but it's been a real honor having him on here and getting to just reminisce in a way.
Absolutely.
Man, I'm
Your names, he spoke names. He spoke one specific name that I'm pretty sure 90% of Buck Nation don't even remember. Wow. Yes,
And
yes.
back in the day, I played with some bad guys, man. That names like Diamond Pen, man, and Davin.
Oh yeah, he was a dog.
Man, Davin Dozer was one of the best right guards in the NFL at the time, and I had opportunity to play next to. So we had some studs back in those days, man. That across that offensive line that we played with. You know?
Oh yeah, that's why I said earlier, those teams you were on in your later portion of your career with Tampa were really good, put together teams. But you spoke of Raheem Morris, and look, no disrespect to your friendship and your view of Raheem, but fuck the Falcons, straight up, on this show specifically. But I actually dug Raheem Morris as a coach.
Raheem deserved
but at the
another
same
year.
time, he needed like a player needed. He needed development. He needed maturity. And I actually believe he's going to be I think he's going to be the most vital threat to the Buccaneers year in and year out for the next few years, as opposed to Carolina and New Orleans. That's my opinion.
Oh, yeah. Every time he played Tampa, man, he's going to take that game personal.
Oh, yes, he will. Yes, he will. Absolutely.
Right now.
Well, look, Mr. Dotson, I thank you very much for coming on to the show. I'd love to be able to keep up and keep in touch with you. Tell me, what do you think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers record is going to be this season? Give me a prediction.
11. I guarantee 11 wins.
11 wins. Oh, we're winning now. Are we making the wild card, or is 11 wins getting us the division?
Definitely, we're gonna win the division. We're gonna win the division. I don't think Carolina. Yeah.
Look, you guys, you heard it here first.
They gonna win the division. Hey,
you heard it here first from a professional.
This
is a professional opinion.
Yeah.
Mr. Dotson, you enjoy your evening with your kids. Thank you for coming on, and we'll talk to you soon. Appreciate you for coming on to the Plunder, man.
Hey, man, God bless y'all show, man. I wish you much success. I think y'all going to do well, man. I really do appreciate the opportunity you guys gave me.
Thank you very much. You have a good night.
All right, me too.
Well, that was pretty cool.
Now, we're live. Since we're still live, that was your first former player interview, bro. I'm going to put you on the spot.
All right.
That's what we do. How the fuck you feeling?
Let's fucking go. Yeah, man, that was pretty cool. I actually meant everything I said when I said that he was a player that I actually watched all the time. He was quiet. He didn't rah, 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 rah. He would stick up for his teammates. But most of the times, you go back and search his name. Go to Google and search that guy's name, bro. And let me tell you what. You guys do not understand the amount of times that I saw him on camera critiquing himself and talking about how bad a game he played and what he needed to do to get better. So, like, the humility of this guy was awesome. And to hear his story, things that even I didn't know about him being a fan when all I had to do. I mean, you don't know the details and how really, like, you don't understand, okay, he played 1 year of college football. No, he barely hit the field. He played on defense.
Yeah, you know what's crazy, bro? Is I never thought of that. Like, I knew he played basketball.
Athlete.
But never did I expect him to say, hey, man, I played defense. And it's like, wait, what?
Athlete,
bro. Could you imagine, bro, him and Will Goldston on that defensive line?
Dude, that would have been nice to see, bro, to be honest.
That would have been fun.
But see, I actually I love the fact that because like I said, we were not only able to keep him and get him in as a starter, but he played, I wouldn't necessarily say on the level of a Tristan Wirfs as far as dominance, but he was a tier below on the dominance level from Tristan Wirfs. He wasn't a guy that you could just push around, and he didn't give up a lot of sacks because he was very good at what he did, and he is a big dude. I've actually got a picture that my niece took, or my stepdaughter took when I brought her to one of the games. I actually showed it to DeMar, and he was like, whoa, that's crazy. I'm like, yeah. And she's like this big, and he's like this big, and I knew how tall she was at the time, and I'm like, whoa. I mean, and I've been to games, we've seen him, but he's a big guy. So, but that dude, being able to interview him was, it brings everything and all this hard work to fruition, to really get to the point of being able to have something cool to bring back to you fans.
Yes, sir.
Predictions for the night's game. I see a touchdown pass to Baker Mayfield, from Baker Mayfield. I see the running game getting back on track this week. And I expect the starting defense to set a trend and to continue. And I expect a victory, 17-10, Tampa Bay.
I'm gonna go 13-10. I'm kind of on the same route you are. I do think that you might get a touchdown pass from Baker. I'll go on that. I'm gonna say it might be to Jalen McMillan. Because I just like the way that's going to sound to you. I like the way it's going to sound.
It'd make my ears ring based on my prediction if it was Trey Palmer. But, guys, don't forget, tomorrow night, 7 p.m., the prediction show for the season, the prediction show for the 53-man roster. You can always follow me at the Plunder 2023. You can catch BucDad at Real88. That's REELEIGHTY, the number 8. All right, guys, until tomorrow night, go actually watch the game, catch SmackDown, and tune in later on for Pancakes and Power Bombs, one of the very final shows we have. Later.